But yeah, that's what I see. It's not really so much the views, is where people are looking or seeing you. And it seems as though depending on where people see you, they become more interested in other things. And so they kind of spend more time on the site looking around and stuff like that. And that's my impression. Whereas if a video of your cat goes viral for 5 million views, you're not necessarily going to sell any books because of that.
Yes, that's true. I do cat videos. I do not sell any books from them.
Yeah. See, that's what I thought.
But people like my cats. Hey, hi.
Yeah, and also in Sweden. So those are the two countries that show up for this particular podcast.
I spent a lot of time
Sweden.
in Sweden. It's a great country.
What's that?
I've spent a lot of time in Sweden. That's clearly why they're watching.
Oh, did
Yes,
you?
obviously.
So when it comes to my interviews, the Czech Republic and Sweden are at the top. Or it's actually only 4, like the US, the Czech Republic, Sweden, and the UK. Okay, so Alison's thing is updates what's going on currently. Debra, I don't remember, did you say like something that you wanted to talk about during the...
Yes. I was at a horror book conference, book selling conference last weekend. And it was a really good learning experience for me because I've never really been to one before. And this was one that was extremely well organized, I think. Of course, I have nothing to compare it to, but let's just decide that it was extremely well organized. And they had a great way of making sure that everyone got to your table by giving out charms. They gave a bracelet out to anyone who came, and then each author had their own idiosyncratic little charm that they would give out to anybody who came to the table to see their book. So it compelled people that went to the conference to check every single table so that they could get a little charm and have a complete charm bracelet when they was done. And the charm bracelet couldn't have been worth altogether more than $3, but there was something about the idea of collecting them all, like Beanie Babies, if you remember. And that was great because then a lot of people had come to my table, and I got to see what kinds of people care about my book, which
And what kind is that?
I should get into here because there might be some people who are not in this demographic who would be interested in buying my book.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
But all kidding aside, I noticed that a lot of middle-aged women really liked my book because it has to do with someone who's caring for an elderly relative, and that elderly relative is causing her to get attacked by an evil entity.
Well, the other factor though might be where it was located. Where was this
Was in
this conference?
Jervis, which is this very small upstate town in New York, a very unlikely place for such a thing because there is nothing in the town except for this small, independently owned bookstore that just opened this past summer. And this girl was spectacular. She decided to have this book conference, book fair, essentially, in this building called the Mercantile Building, which was an old warehouse type building with exposed brick walls and double high ceilings. It was a glorious place, very industrialized, if you know what I mean, in a turn of the century kind of way. I mean, the turn of the last century. So I don't know, maybe it will revive Port Jervis. Maybe the addition of one little bookstore would make all the difference in this old factory town that is.
What's the name of it?
Now you're asking me. Alison, I gave that name to you, and I'm going to get that name for you. I'll have that name for you in just a minute.
Well, the thing is don't worry about it because I can actually add it in post-edit. So, I mean, there are a lot of points during the interviews where I can't remember stuff, like I couldn't remember Orphan Black and stuff like that, and I just added it
or we could make it so that people have to watch the whole entire podcast to get the name. We could always go.
That's possible.
I have the name though. I just looked it up on the email you sent me.
Yeah, what is
What's the name?
Okay, The name is the Chapter Bookshop.
The Chapter
Or
Bookshop.
this Chapter Bookshop.
This Chapter Bookshop. Okay.
And
Okay.
it isn't
Yeah, because I mean, what I was getting at. Go ahead.
no, it isn't just a horror bookstop. It's actually more romance. They do a lot of romance and romantasy and
Hmm.
mystery and that sort of thing. So some fantasy. So horror was a new thing for them. But I think that was more a function of a local author who's a horror author who went to the shop and said, why don't you try this? She was very excited about it. And she plans on doing more book fairs, but with different genres. And I suspect a romance genre is going to be the next one. I think that's she's
Hmm.
planning on doing it in like the summer or something like that. I don't know. Something to check.
So
Oh,
Deborah, you better write a romance book really super fast.
Well, Alison, you're the one. You're the one. I mean, how hard could
well,
it be, right?
going back to your thing about like the people who came up to your table and seemed to, acting differently. I do believe that that does vary from place to place. I mean, it may have something to do with, the kind of people in their 20s who live in that area. You said it's kind of a small town.
Small town.
There's a revitalization effort going on right now
I
to
think
kind of
so.
get the downtown going again and all that. So I'm absolutely certain that like the different age groups are different in a little place like that than they might be in New York City.
I mean, horror is pretty idiosyncratic as far as that goes, though. I would think that age groups are attached to certain genres, and I think Allison might be able to speak to this as well. I don't think there are a lot of older women who are that interested in horror, and I could be wrong about that. But my sense is that they are not. There a lot of older women, and I'm an older woman, would if I that I know who are friends of mine, their knee-jerk reaction when I say I got a novel that's horror is they kind of cringe and they say, I don't really like that. Now, that's a
Mm.
wildly generalization, but Allison, do you find a particular demographic is more inclined to read romance and romantasy? I would think so.
Romance is a genre that appeals to all ages, actually. So I feel like that's more of an open genre. I agree. Horror tends to be, I almost feel like focused more on from like middle age to younger audiences. There's a lot of like YA horror that is getting more popular. Yeah. And horror movies in particular, or horror, video games that are aimed at a younger audience.
Mm.
And what do you see with fantasy, Brian? I mean, you don't just do fantasy, but what do you see?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm the wrong person to ask. I know that there's that YA fantasy is its own genre and adult fantasy, but I'm not actually sure
Mm.
in terms of age groups.
Well, the thing is, I mean, on the one hand, Deborah, you said that you don't believe that most older people like horror, and yet that's what you write. So,
Well, what I write, I've got one novel published, and I'm a relatively new, I think I can still say I'm a relatively new writer. I've focused on horror short stories because those are the people I've met. So I've developed a network of people that are in this genre, and therefore I'm writing things with that focus so that I can see some of my work published, to be honest.
did you read a lot of horror?
No, well, just what everybody reads. I loved reading Stephen King, I hate to
Hmm.
admit that I don't read a lot of horror. I read a lot more of it now because I review for Ginger Nuts of Horror, so I review books for them. I've gotten exposed to a lot of horror from that point of view. But no, I like thrillers. I read a lot of thrillers and I read a lot of YA. Before I was a writer, that was what I focused on.
Interesting. A lot of adults like YA. I've been in writing groups with a lot of people who read YA. And the thing I always find funny about that is if they write YA, they have very strong opinions about what middle schoolers are interested in. And I'm just like, I'm not really sure because my daughter is in middle school and I'm pretty sure she wants to read like some really adult stuff, So, oh yeah, that's fascinating. So, okay. So, I mean, did you feel like the conference was good to go to? Was it valuable? Was it worth it?
Great to go to. I didn't get as much out of it as I could have because of the socializing that I should have done. I should have done that better. But, it's a learning experience. I got another one coming up in November that I'm very, very excited about that's going to be in Brooklyn, Queens, called the New York City Indie Horror Fair. And that is bigger and a little bit more established. And I actually really excited about that because it's supposed to be extremely well attended. So we'll see how that goes.
And when you say Brooklyn, Queens, you mean Brooklyn and Queens, right?
Well, I don't have the address. I have the address tucked away someplace. I can't say it off. They draw from Brooklyn and Queens. Maybe I should put it that way.
From Brooklyn and Queens. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about you, Allison? What's going on? What's new for you?
Well, I'm in the querying process for several of my books, and I don't remember if last time we talked if I had sent any queries out, but now I've sent out 9 and have had a big fat 0 responses. So
Which is pretty
it's
par
going
for the
well.
Yeah, that's pretty standard, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
nothing.
I mean, yeah, it's a slow process, and I'll keep plugging away.
And which ones are you writing so many different genres? What genre are you querying, or which book are you querying?
Romantasy. So actually a book that you guys might be familiar with called Sloshed.
Oh, okay, so you're querying it already. Okay, I got you.
I am, and I'm editing at the same time. Don't try this at home, kids. Yeah, no, but I mean, it's in pretty good shape. So yeah, I'm not making any big changes.
That's interesting to me that you're querying while you're editing, because is there a lag time between, let's say, do you envision a lag time between querying and when you are expected to send out something that's pretty much finished? I guess is my question, because I thought the book should be finished when you start querying.
Well, no, the book is finished, and I've edited it a couple times. So yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't advise querying if your book is not finished, because if one of the agents asks for your pages or for your full manuscript, then you are
Tickled.
effed, I would say. I don't know if I could say the full word.
No, go ahead. I mean, I curse
Okay,
all the
then you
time.
are completely fucked. Because usually you want to, if you're querying an agent and they respond, you want to send your manuscript as soon as possible and make sure it's in the best shape as possible. Yeah, so you definitely want to start out with the full manuscript, which mine is. Mine is a full manuscript and has been edited, and I'm getting some small changes through my fabulous writing group on Sundays. Just taking a look at it and telling me, no, don't do this, cut this. But yeah, it's pretty much done.
Anything new on the author versus AI front?
No, I mean, these are author versus AI books that I'm doing. So I'm actually editing the next one in the series, and I will be sending out queries on that one pretty soon too.
See, that was my attempt to prompt you to talk about the conference that you're going to in March.
Sorry, I am not awake yet. I think I need more tea. Yeah, I was so excited to be invited to this fabulous summit about AI as a creative that's taking place up here in Canada, in Banff. And it's organized by the Canadian government. It will have various CEOs, various creatives, as well as government officials to talk about the future of AI in the creative sphere. So I don't know if they're making any decisions there, but when I got the invitation, I was like, holy crap, they must have gotten the wrong person, or this is a scam. So I immediately called my publicist and said, hey, Mickey, can you check this out? Can you see if this is a scam? And he did all the homework for me, because he is a wonderful human being, and said, nope, this is real. They invited you. They know who you are. Go to this. So I said yes. And so, yeah, in March, and I will report back here on this podcast about how it goes and what was talked about, and I guess sort of part of the future of AI and how it impacts creatives in Canada.
Now you've been interviewed on like Canadian television, right?
Yep. Canadian, European, some US programs, radio.
Okay.
I've been around.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's how they got your name and stuff. Maybe that's how they did it.
Yeah, probably. I also know a lot of people around Alberta now, so who knows? Maybe my name came up on conversation. It's just weird. I don't know. Who knows?
Is Banff also in?
It is in Alberta, yeah, but this is a nationwide endeavor that they're inviting people all over. Yeah, but it's a wonderful, and if you guys haven't been to Banff, you totally should. Like it's known for its fabulous world-class skiing,
Hmm.
Music.
but it is just
There's a
yeah, it's just gorgeous out there.
yeah, it's a great music festival in Banff that I never went to.
I
Really?
was there
But you
last August.
should.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Was
What
that a
did you
Very
think
jazz?
of Banff?
Oh, I really liked it. Yeah, like the town, the park, like everything was really nice. Yeah, we stayed in Canmore, which
Oh,
was
okay, yeah.
very charming. And yeah, we don't ski, so it was summertime anyway, but it was very nice.
Was that a jazz festival, or was that just basically a general music festival?
Oh, I didn't go to a festival. I was just there.
Oh, you just went.
We were just there, yeah.
Okay, well, look at you. Oh, that's right. Debra mentioned the music festival.
Right.
So you were just vacationing.
We were just
kind of thing.
vacationing, yeah.
I got you. Okay.
I used to work for a travel company where the #1 selling tour was called the Canadian Rockies by Train.
Mhm.
And I became very curious as to why, because up until then, I'd never heard of the Canadian Rockies as a place to vacation, but I became very curious about it there and booked this trip. It was supposed to take place in 2020, but was postponed due to COVID, and we finally went last year.
Yeah, I saw. I've seen videos of this train. It looks really nice. That goes through Canada, and it's one of those trains where, like, in some of the cars, it's almost like the entire ceiling or most
Got a
of the
glass
ceiling is
top.
glass. Yeah.
Yeah, the
So,
Rocky Mountaineer, I think was the name of the one that the company I worked for contracted with.
yeah, it looks like a nice trip, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's actually a cross Canada trip that does the same thing. Well, not across all of Canada, but I think it starts in Toronto and goes to
Mhm.
Vancouver area, and same type of train car. And like, man, I'm going to do that one day.
Is that fun?
Seems
Yeah.
yeah.
Canada doesn't have high-speed rail, does it?
No, we're working on it.
Okay. Yeah, because I usually think of like the U.S. as the place that, why doesn't it have high-speed rail? But actually, I don't think anywhere in North America has high-speed rail, actually.
I
I
don't know.
can't
That
think
is
of Mexico. And you don't know of any in Canada, so, that might be
well,
the
they're
case.
actually they've been working on it. I don't know for how long. 10 years they've been talking about doing one between the two major cities in Alberta, Edmonton and Calgary, because there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
commuting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're finally at the testing stage.
Okay.
So yeah, so they are saying maybe 10 years from now we'll have it, but who knows
Wow.
about these plans. So
Wow. Okay, well, in addition to traveling to Canada, Brian, anything else? Anything else
But
new?
my updates are limited. I have been hard at work writing, trying to finish this novel, Crisis Inc., or it's been finished a few times. Now I'm in a final editing process,
Mhm.
and starting on the second novel in my fantasy series, which I'm about 4 chapters into. Other than writing, nothing really eventful. I think I mentioned that I'm going to a fantasy conference
Ooh.
in Vermont in March.
Okay.
So high hopes that, I caught a moment of boldness and signed up. And as soon as I did that, I've been like afraid and wishing wishing I didn't have it on the agenda just because I feel like some trepidation, but I'm sure I'll get there.
What's the name of the conference?
I think it was called the Vermont Fantasy, Sci-Fi, and Horror Expo.
Okay. Huh. That's interesting that they add horror to it. I mean, like fantasy and sci-fi, you normally see that together.
No, it makes sense.
Well, I mean, it's Vermont. They probably need to all
I fall
combine
in the
genres.
speculative fiction basket.
Yep.
Okay.
Horror,
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
umbrella.
Sci-fi and fantasy all the time.
Okay. All right. And you said this is in March?
Yeah, the weekend of March 20-something, if I look at the calendar.
So
I'll pick it
you're
up.
going as a what? I mean, does it allow you to have tables with your book or?
Yes, yeah. I'm gonna get a table for the book.
Ooh.
And apparently they have tables for other things as well. I don't know what those
Okay.
are, like crafts. I know there's people who do like fantasy art and craft work.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I'll be there with my book and see what happens. It'll be a good chance to network with other authors and
Mhm.
creative folks as well.
And where in Vermont is it? Like what
This
part
is
of
going to
Vermont?
be it's in like northern Vermont.
So not Burlington. I mean, that's northern, right?
It
Isn't
might
it?
be it might be outside of Burlington actually, but you're gonna make me
Okay.
have to find this. I'm searching for it in
Yeah,
my
you're
email.
paying.
Google Mail has the very worst search features, but
Has
yeah.
anybody else ever heard of this conference? I've never heard of it.
I wouldn't be the
I've never heard of any conference at all, so
Okay.
I've
Yeah, I've
gone
only heard of
looking
the
for
ones I've
one.
gone to.
I only hear
Okay.
horror
Well,
ones. Well, no, it's not true. The author con is supposed to be huge, and that's every genre. And there's one, and there's a book con. I think is coming to New York City. That's supposed to.
Yep,
hmm.
that's a big one.
It's I think it's the
Mhm.
Javits Center, right? Which is
Yep, every year.
insane. Do you go to book con?
I have in the past. I went, that's actually where I first saw one of my literary heroes, Margaret Atwood, in person. She was giving a talk. It was, I think, either shortly before, or shortly after the Handmaid's Tale TV series had come out.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And man, the room was packed, and everyone was just like, "Oh my God, I love you!" It was the craziest thing. It was like she was one of the Beatles,
Yeah.
Hmm.
except at a literary convention.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Yeah.
So everything I said is correct. It's called the Vermont Fantasy, Sci-Fi, and Horror Expo. It is just outside Burlington and somewhere called Essex Junction.
Okay. Okay. Well, good luck, man. So are you going to print out like, I don't know, 24 copies of your book, or what's your strategy there?
Yeah, I haven't decided on number yet, but that's pretty much that's pretty much
Okay.
it. I'm going to bring, a bunch and see how they sell.
It's
I have no
tricky,
idea what
right?
to expect.
Because you don't want
What's
to.
that?
It's tricky because you don't want to have not enough. You don't want to run out.
Right,
How
right,
much do you
right.
actually do? It's hard.
Yeah. What did you do, Deb, if I may ask?
I always bring more than I should and then feel like a loser that I didn't sell them. See, that's what I do, and it works for me. That's how I enjoy doing it. But no, I haven't been to a lot. I went to something called Horror Readers Weekend, which was the very first place I went, but it was really more of a meeting your fellow wizards at a conference, and there weren't a lot of people to buy stuff. This time I decided to take, I don't know. I think it becomes complicated when you have more than one book. Then how much do you bring, I think depending on the conference, I think the people that sold well at this one last weekend sold 25 to 30 books. I sold 10. So,
Hmm.
that's kind of, but then I know somebody else who sold 6. So golly, do you know anybody who has gone to this conference before?
Me, no. Like I said, I don't know any conferences or anyone who's been to
So if
them.
I
Yeah.
had gone to AuthorCon, I've heard that people will sell 100 books or more at AuthorCon, depending on where they're sitting and depending on, whether they have a following, admittedly, but still. So you hear that people are selling that amount of books, and you get nervous to not want to be, run out or anything. So I don't know.
I think 25 might be my
I
limit
think
in terms of the
25
number.
seems right. Yeah, I think 25 seems right for sure.
Yeah. And by the way, Deborah, were you able to leave any inventory with the bookstore by any chance?
I should have, and that was another missed opportunity, but she was very keen on saying that she doesn't really have a big horror group right now. So yeah,
Okay.
I should have done that, but that was something that I should have done for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. And another thing, and maybe you can speak to this, Alison, but if you can leave books that are already signed, we had this conversation, didn't we, Alison, at one point? If you leave books that are signed, then they can't return them, which is
They can return them, but they're less likely to, and they're more likely to put them in a prominent position in the bookstore and have the little sticker that says signed by author. So you're more likely to sell them. So, like conventional wisdom is if you do an event in a bookstore or with a bookstore, offer to sign all the books there. You're more likely to sell them, not necessarily on the day of, but in the future.
I'm just curious. Did you happen to notice, Deborah, like how when you walk into a bookstore, there's usually like that table,
uh-huh.
and there's either a display for one author or a couple of authors on that table. Did you happen to notice who had a display like that?
I wasn't at this bookstore. It was done at this big mercantile building, so I didn't see.
Or it wasn't actually at the
No,
bookstore?
it was not actually at the bookstore. The bookstore never would have been big enough. There were 40.
Oh, okay. For some strange reason, I was under the impression that the bookstore was put in the building. So in other words, the way you described that building, I kind of imagine it being
No.
redeveloped into a bookstore, maybe a coffee shop or
it's
something
just
like
a
that.
big giant empty space that is available to be rented.
Okay. In the way you described the town, it wouldn't surprise me if they let the bookstore owner have it for free for the day, and all they had to do was just
Possibly.
clean up.
Possibly. The folks
Yeah.
who owned the Mercantile building had actually just bought it a year and a half ago. They live in Brooklyn, and they liked it here,
Mhm.
so they bought the building, and they're in the process of doing more renovations, and they're gonna have it be a living space above upstairs and all, so it's cool. It's a cool place.
Oh, they're gonna have apartments and stuff on the top floor?
No, they're making an apartment for themselves, as I understand.
Oh, an apartment for themselves. Oh, okay, I got
So
you.
that's kinda
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, no, that sounds kinda cool. Okay, well, good luck, Brian. I guess
Thanks.
in terms of me, just like Allison said, I've been doing some interviews. I was a guest on a couple of podcasts. It's amazing to me how like the podcasts that I've done so far seem to be doing a volume game kind of, and so they interview a bunch of people, and because of that, since the post-production takes a while, it usually takes longer than the interview, they tell me stuff like, well, let's see, you're scheduled to be out on March 20th or something like that. And it's like, so, I mean, I did the interview, but, the videos won't be available for a month, and I interviewed a couple of people. And in both cases, I was able to turn the video around in the same day. So, and I tried, when I asked you guys, because I mentioned before that when I posted the last video, I posted it at like 11:30 at night, and then I sort of walked away from the computer, came back, and I checked to see exactly how it was doing an hour later, and it had 800 views in an hour.
Wow.
Oh,
So if you
wow.
look at the chart, yeah, I was really surprised by that. But I was like, oh, Alison must have shared it with her email list or something. And so I asked Alison about that, and she said, no, I didn't share it. And Deborah, you said you didn't really share it either, right?
No, I didn't.
Brian, did you share it with like your whole email list or the 800 walkers
If I
that
showed
you?
it to my whole email list, that might get you like 5.
Well, I shared it on Substack. That was where I
Which
shared it, but yeah.
I think I may have shared on my social media. My social media, very inactive, very, very
Okay.
unfollowed. Yeah.
Okay, so I asked Copilot, and I just put it like that. I was like, yeah, I have this video that I posted on Substack, and I asked other people in the video whether they did this, and they said no. And I was like, what you think? And Copilot actually gave me a pretty interesting answer. It said um, that the title, The Writer's Room, is kind of a way to sort of trick the algorithm into showing it more often, because most platforms like that have algorithms that are looking for writing room, author interview. And so if you have that in your title, it makes it much more likely that the video is going to be seen. And I mean, it was just totally a coincidence. I mean, I just happened to choose that. So I'm going to use the same exact title, of course. And
And
then
people are like, man, I was tricked. Why am I watching this video?
and then and I think the video's gotten some likes. And then on top of that, what I'll do is on the subtitle, I'll just add whatever we wind up talking about that's interesting. Bookstores in, Jervis, or conferences in Vermont or whatever, or, Banff, Canada, anything interesting, and see what happens. So I tried it again. So I interviewed an author who lives in Chicago. And this time, like, I was titling my interviews A Conversation with Henry L. Sullivan III has a conversation with such and such. I thought that sounded cool. But this time I just said author interview, and then I have her name, Gwen Tolios. And I did notice that I got more views in the first hour, not 800. I got more like 150. But that's still better. So if you look at, like, since I've been doing this, if you look at the graph, there's our first video, which is all the way up. It just screwed the graph up, because the graph used to look, it had 50 at the top, and then it would have like a bunch of days bouncing around, 50, under 50. So now there's 800, and then a bunch of little bitty boxes for every other day. And then there's this other box, because I think I posted it on Friday. So there's another box for that interview, which is like 150. So that's what I've learned. And actually, Gwen, the author, she talked a lot about marketing books and social media and stuff like that. Because the first thing I asked her about was, if you go to her TikTok page, I think she has something like 20,000 likes. And in the conversation, she explained that she posted a video about writing that got 3 million views. And it was because of the sound that she used in the video or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But she also said that she, I asked her whether she saw a bump in her sales, and she said no.
Oh, that's interesting.
There isn't necessarily, like, all views are not the same, basically, is the takeaway that I got from that. I've seen connections between sales, but it's not based on the number of views. The thing that seems more significant, at least with regard to Substack, is the countries where someone is viewing my content from. So before I started posting on Substack, I didn't have any sales in France. And Substack tells you what countries people are viewing your work from. Like, for instance, for some strange reason, these videos, these interviews get views in the Czech Republic. So, but the UK one I sort of understand, because one of the people I interviewed specifically said, "Oh, I'm going to send this to, this writer I know in the UK." And then that day, the UK showed up. So I just sort of associated with that.
Yeah.
But then my serialized fiction, the scenes that I'm recording, there are 6 pages of countries. And when France showed up, kind of like on the 3rd page, then I got a notice from ACX that we're going to convert the euro into the dollar because of this sale in France and so on. I was like, France, really? So that's the connection that I can see, because I think I also saw one in Japan. Same thing, and that was right after Japan showed up on the list. It's an interesting list. It includes Latvia, Liberia, Ethiopia, which I thought was sort of interesting. So I don't know how Substack shoots all this content out to all these countries. And on the serialized fiction side, the country that's like, it's the US, which is like 75%. And then it's the Philippines, which is at like about 6. It bounces back and forth between 6 and 8% in the Philippines. But I think that might be, one of my brothers lived in South Korea for a long time, and he has a pretty big social network all over Asia. So that might be because of him, because he always shares my content. So that's good. Thanks, Todd. And I try to share his content as often as possible.
He's like, man, that Henry.
Man, you done me wrong. You done me wrong.
So there you go.
Now, the other thing I will say, Alison, did you upload the shorts that I sent to you from? For some reason, in the last video that we did, most of the shorts were of Alison talking about her books. So did you upload that? Did it get any content?
Nope, I didn't. I am way behind on website and social media posting. I've just been working on my books. So
okay.
Yeah, I have to update. As you were talking about this, I was thinking, man, I got to put stuff on my website.
Yeah, because my interview with Gwen Tolios, that one produced a lot of shorts. And so, I sent them to her. A lot of them are just her talking about stuff, but I also uploaded them on all of my, like on TikTok and stuff like that. And the shorts do pretty well. The shorts always get a lot of views, but I think it's because as you're scrolling through shorts, I don't know if you guys ever look at any shorts on any platform.
Yeah.
A view is if you go to it and you watch it for a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
That's a view.
Yeah.
So it racks up like, 500, 1,000 views pretty quickly.
That's interesting.
And it doesn't necessarily trace back to like your product pages either. That's the thing about it. Going back to my point about it's not so much the views, it's like where people are seeing it and how people are and what people are seeing. That seems to make the difference. So that's
TikTok is sort of the same. It'll show you how many views you have, but then it will show like a chart, which is very disheartening about how long they watch your videos.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah.
It's like, yay.
You're right.
Like, okay, the video was like a minute and everyone stopped watching at 3 seconds. Got it.
Right.
I am not that interesting.
Yeah. The only thing I will say about TikTok is it does seem to be pretty good at finding people or introducing you to people who are very interested in what the topic was. So we talked a lot about, they have a pretty good algorithm.
Yeah.
And so we talked a lot about queer fiction and stuff. And like, this was the first time I've had somebody, because when I was told that, such and such liked your video, So I went and I checked out their TikTok, and their TikTok is all about like transgender, challenges living as a transgender, woman, a transgender man. So that's the way they found me, was basically through one of the videos. So it does seem to be pretty good at that, better than YouTube or Upscrolled. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Upscrolled.
No.
Yeah.
But
It's like the new TikTok that people are migrating to, not to get too political, but like, with TikTok being owned by an American
Alison.
company. Yeah,
Yeah.
now. So people are like, screw this, I'm taking my crayons and going over here.
Well,
So Upscroll is apparently the new thing, new TikTok.
yeah, I don't know how well Blue Sky is doing, but they did that with that too. I tried to get something on Blue Sky going, and it was just exhausting. I said, Uncle, I'm just
Oh, really?
done. And
I mean, honestly, this opens up a bigger conversation though. Like, how effective is social media? Because we spend so much time doing social media, on social media, trying to like grow, and then you spend all this time for a couple years. Like I did this with Twitter. I spent all these years and I got like over 10,000 followers, and then it was like everyone was like, "Oh, this is dead. We're going over here." And I'm like, "Oh, damn it."
that's a great
Right.
conversation for next time, I think. That's a big
Yeah.
conversation. Yeah.
It is a big topic, but yeah. How much is this effort really garnering anything?
Because it is very time consuming. I mean, it's not something you could do, without paying much attention, because you got to figure a lot of stuff out constantly. You have to have content. It's just very time consuming. So
Well,
I
it's
hear
funny.
you.
Everyone who's pressuring me to do social media always tries to sell it as being able to do it quickly.
No.
And
No.
I
No.
go in for I try to put in like 5 minutes,
No.
and it becomes an hour, and I haven't done
Right.
anything.
That's the reality of
And
social media.
you really should
Exactly.
talk about this next time. But once you start, if you really want to keep it up, you've got to keep posting. You can't. It just
Exactly.
not allowed to stop. You can't. If you stop, you might as well shouldn't have even started.
Well, that's true. I mean, now the one thing I will say is doing this helps a lot, at least with Substack and with Riverside, because both platforms produce shorts. And so, and Substack shorts are based on the final product, the final video that I've already edited and stuff. So I don't have to edit their shorts. And I've got it set up so that it sends the shorts to different platforms automatically. So
But
people
Henry, here's a question for you. I think you're doing a wonderful job with your podcast and Substack and everything. How much time do you have to write if you're doing all of this? So
kind of to Brian's point, like I write, and then if I've done everything that I wanted to do, then I do the social media thing.
I got
So the time is eaten up when I do interviews. That's what eats up my time, because do some preparation for the interview. I set up for the interview, the person shows up, we have a conversation, and then I do the editing. And so that's the thing, like this is going to eat up the rest of Sunday basically. But every other day I'm just sort of posting and doing all that other kind of stuff, kind of when I'm done with everything else. You know what I mean? So that's the way I do it. But I agree with you that it can wind up being its own thing, but I don't want to be a professional podcaster. That's not my goal at all, So
Cool.
So I hear you. Okay. Well, is there anything else? Because let me see. We've done about 45 minutes, I think. Anything else? Anybody? Brian, did you have any ideas for like stuff we could talk about, or?
No. You know what? There is something that I forgot to mention, which is that I did do some outreach to like book blogs or are they called blogs? Yes, to book bloggers. I found an article that recommended like 20 of them. And I think I will have like reviews coming in a few at some point in time. So that's another venue that you could.
Could you email me the list of books?
Yeah, me too. I mean, can you just send it to all of us? So,
Yeah.
so you're saying
I'll try
that
to find
you found a list and then you contacted them directly? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yep. I contacted them directly. I wrote a message and sent to like 10 and heard back from 3.
And so you're sending them a copy of the book, or is that how it?
One, I am sending a physical copy of the book. Another is just getting it, or the other 2 are just getting it online.
Wow.
That's
cool.
There's a number of different like ebook platforms where the readers get like free downloads for paying a subscription price, and it sounded like
Right.
both of them were doing that.
Okay, since they blog about books, so
Yeah.
that makes sense for them. Okay, cool. That's good to know. Yeah, yeah. If you could share that, I mean, I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
But no ideas in terms of like topics to ask.
Nope.
I mean, because one
Not on the
thing
spot. I'll have to spend 5 minutes brainstorming by myself.
I got you. One thing, because I think Deborah, you mentioned that like you tried like a
A person whom I met on Threads
mhm,
approached me to do a podcast with him. He's from the UK. So,
okay.
and he loves Terry Pratchett. So you could say he's a Terry Pratchett writer.
Mm-hmm.
And and we did, but that podcast turned into one that would be focused on for beginner writers, for people who are just starting out. And I don't really get a feeling that that is what we're doing here. Do you know what I mean? It was for people who didn't know really anything about how to begin a story or start out or anything like that. And I think there's a lot of value in doing that. And we could do that. We could have some groups like that, some conversations like that. But the things that I think people who have been writing for a while are curious about is, for instance, how to approach social media and the efficacy of doing so. And
So the stuff we were just
yeah,
talking about,
or
basically.
perhaps the next steps toward marketing, say a self-published book, and what is available to you as a self-publisher in getting your book out there and getting it reviewed. I think an interesting topic of conversation would be, how do you find people to review your book? And then when they are reviewed, how do you take advantage of that review in marketing your book? Because just because you get a review doesn't mean it's going to sell, And then maybe
Mm-hmm.
another thing would be how to approach people to get a blurb for your book. How do you get blurbs for a book that you're trying to publish? And what avenues are available to you in even getting the ear of some people who you'd love to get a blurb from. I wish I had had a blurb from Stephen King. It didn't happen. Couldn't get past
Mm-hmm.
gatekeepers, I mean, those are the kinds of things I actually wonder about. I'd watch a podcast that was talking about that kind of stuff. So maybe I shouldn't be the one that should be on the podcast, because what the heck would I be able to talk about? But yeah, you get the idea. You get the idea.
Okay.
And then we could also get into the nuts and bolts of writing, which might be of interest as well. Outlining versus being a pantser, that kind of stuff. Maybe that's too rudimentary, but I mean, that's a thought too.
Well,
Yeah, that's always a good topic.
Yeah.
there are a lot of podcasts like that though.
Mhm.
And so it's hard for me to really gauge the demand for that. One way to do it is to look at how many subscribers like a YouTube channel that's like that has. Although when it comes to podcast on this level, I have noticed that you have people like me who have just started, and so I have not that I don't have a lot of subscribers on YouTube. But even people who are doing it for a long time, if you look at their YouTube page and look at the subscriber numbers that they have, it's usually something like 267, or they might have four, like a YouTube page that stands out, that's not by someone who's known outside of YouTube, is one that has over 1,000 subscribers. I mean, in terms of this type of thing where it's about writing or authors or writers or publishing and stuff like that, I mean, there are types of YouTube channels that have a lot of subscribers. Like I've noticed that vlogging channels, where people are traveling around the world, and basically they have one of those things with a cell phone on it, one of those, like, you know what I mean, like one of those stands that they hold up, and they're just like, here I am in Amsterdam, selfie stick. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like those type of people, they easily get 500,000 subscribers, and their problem tends to be that they get demonetized kind of easily, because if you're walking through a city and like somebody's and music is playing, you need to get that out of there, because they'll demonetize you because you've infringed upon, it's a copyright infringement.
So it
Yeah,
sounds
exactly.
like what you're saying, Henry, is that we need to take our show on the road. So we
An
just need to
excuse-
travel the world and talk about writing, and we will get like 1 million people following us. I think this is the perfect solution. I would love to travel. Let's go, guys.
Actually, that would have a big subscriber base.
Yeah.
That probably
Well,
would have
also,
like,
we're talking about conferences today. What if there was a conference where we all came together to, I don't know, like that would be, we could do like a live from, I don't know, Toronto conference.
hmm no, yeah. I mean, I think that's the reason why I think those types of channels are generally more popular than what we're talking about, because if you're just talking about the mechanics of writing, then it's kind of a technical channel, right? That's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, it's
mean,
boring.
well, you
Not
know,
boring, boring, but it can be. It can be like very basic, as Deborah was saying.
That was my problem with that podcast. I was bored
Yeah.
by it, and I can't imagine who wouldn't be.
well, when you say bored, the flip side of that though is I think that like the types of channels that tend to be popular are channels that evoke some kind of emotion, basically. And so because what I'm thinking of is, remember I mentioned last week that I get a lot of requests from literary agents, and by the way, I've actually agreed to interview this particular. They're not literary agents actually; they're publicists,
Yep.
and I've agreed to interview a couple of the writers that are represented by a particular publicist who reached out to me, mainly because unlike the other publicists who kind of give me this long kind of thing and they pretend like they read my stuff and they love it and all this kind of stuff, all she said is, "Hey Henry, my name is Monica. I represent a bunch of authors. Looks like your channel's pretty cool. Let me know if you want to interview them." And that was it. And so I was just like, oh, no bullshit. Yeah, I could deal with that. So then I checked out like the people who she represents, and I was like, oh, okay, I'd like to talk to this person, that person. That looks interesting. But I've noticed that like there must be a big demand for motivational speakers and financial advisors and all this other kind of stuff, because those are the people who, number one, are very, very aggressive in terms of trying to get out there. And number two, there are just a ton of them, especially like the motivational speakers. There are a ton of them.
Henry, is that these are people that are, what they're selling is that they will make your life individually, your actual life better. And don't get tired of getting the magic pill that will make them lose weight or make enough money to retire, or there are always people who are ready to believe. And I think that's why they're as popular as they are.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what you think. And I
Yep.
guess I guess I'm kind of torn because, like I said a little while ago, is I'm not trying to make a living off of this. I'm just trying to expose the world to. I'm trying to expand the footprint of people who at least see my work. That's what I'm trying to do.
It's all right,
And so
Henry. It's always about you. I don't know what to say.
it's always about me. That's right. It's always about me.
We're just riding your coattails. That's fine. I'll do that.
I'll do-
From what you said, Deborah, from what you said, maybe I should have been a singer. Because you said singers are pretty selfish.
Oh, yeah, are you kidding? That's me, boy. I'm very self-absorbed.
But I imagine that you have to be pretty self-absorbed to get in front of people and sing and have all the focus on you. You got to be pretty
Yeah, and
selfish,
not be
right?
scared to death. That is like my nightmare.
Fantastic. I'd do that in a heartbeat. I'm with you.
So I think a mixture of, because I watch a lot of political podcasts, and the ones that I like the best are ones where, in addition, it's more like interesting people having a conversation about politics as opposed to, like a whole lot of preaching. You know what I mean? And so the podcasts tend to be entertaining, even though the topic is sort of depressing, actually. And I think that's the sweet spot. So if you do what you described, Deborah, go all the way on the side where you're almost like trying to do a classroom.
I don't know.
I
don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know that that's the way to go. I don't know, because here's the thing. The whole thing about the motivational speakers is that it's pretty universal, the kinds of things that they're addressing, right? You get big audiences because who doesn't want to have enough money to retire, right? And surely this next person I listen to is going to get me there. What we're doing has a very narrow range, and I'm not clear in my mind. I don't know enough to know whether talking nuts and bolts, craft, would do it. What argues for it working is like the masterclass series, right? That you can pick something that you're interested in, like writing or music or acting, and you can pay however many dollars it costs to do to buy that masterclass series where you see you seen
Mhm.
that, where you get 10 episodes with someone who's wildly famous.
Right.
But that sells because those people are who they are. So uh, I guess I'm rambling now. I don't know if that's the way to go. I don't know if having a crafts themed podcast would do it. What do you guys think?
I don't think a craft themed
Yeah,
podcast
I don't think.
I don't
I mean,
think that would work.
we could, but I think there's already the market is saturated. Like,
Yeah,
I think what
exactly.
works between
There
the
would need
four
to
of
be a
us
catch.
is that we're funny, maybe.
Right.
We get along and we can talk about writing and just have a conversation.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'll do that.
Yeah, so like same thing like what we do in our groups. And I think that's sort of what we're going for a little bit.
Good.
And we can veer off topic. Like I don't know, like traveling around the world,
Yeah.
right? But
Well, I mean, I think that it is important on some level for people to. Well, let me put it this way. I think that if people feel like they like you, then they're much more inclined to, if that's the basic feeling, they're much more inclined to think, oh, well, this person is also a writer. Let me check out their books. They're talking about their books. Well, maybe I'll take a look at it.
I mean, I feel that the way that we're doing this is sort of like 4 writers shoot the shit. Like that's
Yeah, basically. Right,
Yeah.
right.
So I mean, you could call our monthly talk 4 writers shoot the shit. That's
I actually think that's a good title.
okay. So there we go. We have our title. This is our monthly 4 writers shoot the shit.
That's a good title. Writers Shoot the Shit. A great title. I love
Yeah.
title.
So we got it. We're done.